Two cousins came together to create a weekly podcast celebrating the excellence, intelligence, beauty, and strength of melanated women. What we created is the When We Think of Us podcast.
We catch up, spotlight melanated businesses, and discuss our experiences as melanated women, addressing topics ranging from relationships to finances, and aspiring to teach, learn, heal, and love ourselves and our communities entirely. This is When We Think of Us.
Peace, prosperity, and abundance, y'all. Welcome to When We Think of Us. I'm Jenni Marie.
I'm Shana K.
And I'm YOLO.
Welcome, y'all. We have a special guest, honored guest, my sister friend, Grow with YOLO, gardening coach, gardening extraordinaire, just a wealth of knowledge. And what better way to start off the season, or like as we call the new year, with just learning about how to get some seedlings started. And I just really like the true meaning of new beginnings, right? And that's what Aries season is about, just a new season. So welcome.
Thank you.
What's been going on?
Nothing much, still working from home, and looking forward to the gardening season. So it's excitement right now for me, like just everything about spring and looking at the new growth on the trees, down to the whole thing about, like you said, new beginnings.
Is this your favorite time of year?
It is. It's my favorite time. This time of year and fall, like, and I guess that's like going in for a renewal. You get, so I love, but it's also the colors. So that's the significance too. I love the colors of fall. I got married in fall, so, and that was one of the reasons I love that, because of the fall leaves.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, Shana K?
It's been a long week. That's all I got.
It has.
I woke up Thursday thinking it was Friday, and I was so disappointed. I was really disappointed.
Man,
so
it's long week,
but it'll be true tomorrow. So I guess
right.
Yeah, but I just yesterday I woke up thinking it was Friday.
I don't have any complaints. I don't have any complaints. It was a long week, and it was productive. It was very productive. What about you?
That's the same. It's about the same. It's been a busy week, but one of the things about the new year or the beginning of the season, I always feel like it's Aries energy, and it's just about feeling youthful and really having all of the energy to do all of the things that need to be done. And so I feel like I've gotten some rest, and now is just the time to put all of that into action. So
That's true.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on.
So have you started any seeds yet?
No, I have not. And in fact, it's a new moon tomorrow at like
right.
2
So I
something.
purposely I held off. And it seems like I didn't intend to. Like, I had days set up, so many days, I planned it many days during this week, but the days just filled, it filled up with this, an appointment here, meetings, they were stacked, and added meetings, right? So I never got to it. But then you reminded us on Sunday, and I just kept going back to that when we were on the other live, and you're live on Sundays. And so you were saying reminding us to put the water out, or maybe you did that in text or something like that, but to prepare. And I was like, you know what? Maybe that's why I've been procrastinating. I was giving myself a reason.
And it's been cold.
And it's been cold.
Very
and I'm
cold.
doing everything in the garage. So in the past 3 days, I've had 3 little small heaters delivered type thing because I was going to do it regardless, like you said, to tomorrow anyway. So I was like, let me get it nice and warm, but it's 70 degrees now
I know it's beautiful. I
here.
mean, it's not
It
it's
is.
it's raining and windy,
So
but
tie it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but tie it together for me. New moon and seeds.
oh, okay, so it's a new moon,
Mm-hmm.
which with in looking at it from in a gardening term, it's about sowing seeds. And
Got it.
so seedlings are like the beginning stage of your harvest. So you think of new moon in sowing seeds, full moon harvest.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So and that came up in another group that we're in, gardening group, about full moon. And then Jennifer, you brought that out. It's like the new moon is really the time. And it seems like it just worked out that
yeah.
as it, progressed, it's like it's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen. So that
Yeah.
made me feel that kind of gave me a peace of mind that I hadn't been able to you it's social media, it's influence. It does what it's supposed to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It gives what it's supposed to had gave,
It
however
does.
you say it.
It's so true.
Because you see people like, oh yeah, I'm harvesting and all of this stuff. And I have to think to myself, I'm like, dang, I never even got my seeds planted.
Mm.
And it messes with you, like you're like, like, what am I doing? I'm procrastinating, I'm wasting time. But again, like I said, it's about in due time and a new start, and that's your start. That's how you like whatever start that you have. And that's kind of like how I've done gardening, all the years that I've done it right here on my deck, in a townhome. Is like I remember 2020, I don't think I did anything until like early June,
Wow.
even starting. Yeah. Because it was just
Wow.
like it was during the pandemic and you didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, so I didn't start to way later, right? But it still it still gave,
It
I
still
still,
flourished.
Mm.
yeah, it
Yeah.
still flourished. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you were probably the most memorable person for me that always gives lessons about seasons. Even before it was a lesson about seasons in gardening, it was just all you were always talking about seasons, the seasons of people.
Hmm.
And that always stuck with me. When you
Yeah.
start so were you when you started gardening, was it patio gardening to start, or did you have a prior exposure?
Um,
Like, what was your first exposure?
well, my first exposure to agriculture, agri, now
Agriculture.
agriculture,
We got you.
agriculture was in my hometown in Conway. There's a program called the JTPA program. So it was a job training program, and I think the earliest you can go was like 13. And my first assignment was the Clemson Extension Center. And what they did, people would bring the soil in, like farmers, and so we talking Conway, whatever. There's people like this soybeans, like suppliers, So I'm talking
Mhm.
big farmers, that type of stuff. They would have to do stuff for their licenses or whatever. They would have to have regulations on their property and what they grow. They would have to get their soil tested, and I would receive their soils and do all this stuff to do testing. And I think that was 13.
Mm.
And
Wow.
my the lady that was over the program, her husband was an algebra teacher at my high school, JJ Holmes. Time will pass, will you? He put the he would put the clock in the back of the classroom, and he see you turn around trying to see what time it was. He'd say that time will pass, but would you?
Wow.
So his wife was over the job training program. It was just, I was the only one there. And so they would assign you whoever would take, offices would take somebody. And so she was over the program. And that was just and she let me that was my whole thing, that, I was able to, they had a system and I ran that system. And when you think about even my life and what I do, like, they had it and I made sure that it operated correctly
Yeah.
and took the soil in. So that was like when I was 13. And then, like, even, when I think back to my association with plants, I have a plant in my house now that I just looked at a picture that my mother, like, at her housewarming, it was there. That
Wow.
same plant
Wow.
at her house and I guess I was 5. So that had to been like the late 70s, early 80s. And so that plant is here and has, offsprings, because I've cut and it's all over the place, right? And so I think about plants, they've always been in my life, but I don't think I paid attention to it. But then you come full circle, and then here I am now, and it's what I like to do. It's, around me, it's all around me. So now I've been told, as far as ancestors, is that my grandfather's mother, so that would be my great grandmother, she gardened. That's what I hear. And the other young memory is, so we lived on an acre of land, and my mom would allow the local, he had a fruit and vegetable stand, like on the way coming back down into Bucksport, or going back, if you were going to Bucksport, he had a fruit stand standing, and vegetables. So you stopped there. Everybody got their collard greens from him, Mr. James Arthur, right? He set up a garden in our backyard, and we could just go back there and get what we want. And my mom just let him use her land because we just had a big backyard. So he would come and do the field and do everything he wanted to do, and plant what he wanted to do. That was when I was much, much younger. But I was so young that I probably was never in the garden, but it was there. So it's like I got deep roots in it, and it's like it was logical for it to, I guess, it just something that at a point I probably never paid attention to, because I can remember spans of time that I probably never had live plants around me. But
So
that could have been. Say it again.
When would you say that gardening found you?
I think it found me. It found me when I moved into this home this is the first, I'm gonna say first because I know there are gonna be others, home that I bought here in Maryland. So I'd been in apartments and went from apartment to apartment, and I was like, okay, enough. Purchased this home and got the debt, and all of a sudden I found myself, I have a picture of it. I found myself in Home Depot, and that was the first year I bought starts, right? So I wasn't even doing my own seeds. So I bought starts, and I just started going, and it just took off from there. And then I remember the first year was like, I'm going to do my own seed. I'm going to start from the beginning. And I think that's been the most fulfillment, being fulfilled in gardening, is starting from seed. And, when you know that this pack of seeds it was nothing. And then, just a little tiny seed. And then you get all of this,
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is you pointed out the 2 seasons of sowing the seed and then the fall when you harvest. And so
oh, you see what you did
that
there?
reward there. One of the things that I do love about it is that there's always just this sense of community. And then, two, a lot of people, I think, me included, I'm gonna speak for myself, is that like whenever I had apartments, I would have never thought that I could grow anything
I
on
know.
my deck.
And
And
and there was times that in every place that I lived, I w- I was able to do that. I would, but
wow.
I now that I think about it, maybe if I saw somebody else doing it, maybe I would have. But I don't remember seeing that. So it's
And that's what I'm here
and
for.
that's what I'm here for. You see how we did that?
That's what I'm here for.
No, yeah, because that's gonna, that's my specialty. That's what, because that's what I've done, for many years out here on my deck is that um grow in a small space and grow a lot, like give
Mm,
away, like we can't even eat. What we gonna do, like sit in the refrigerator, and it's so much, like you get like all these peppers at one time. It's like, what you gonna do? So as I have progressed in growing, I grow things that, like, what I'd like to help people do is grow in small spaces that you have a purpose for that growing, right? So um if you want to make salsa, or if you want to make what we did, our whole focus last year was the basil. And so my husband doesn't do dairy, so I wanted to perfect this dairy free pesto. So all this
mm.
basil, I grew so much basil. Um I'll post this picture, so everybody subscribe that's listening, that like, to Grow with YOLO, and to When We Think of Us, that, and I'll share this a photo. Like, it was so much basil, it was
I love
overwhelming,
me a
like
lot of basil.
forever, right? And it was just amazing. So that's what I did. I just made basil all day long. We made it, we cook with it, and to think that we didn't there was nothing, so we did everything, so we made the best non-dairy pesto, and we was able to freeze it, and that was all from right in just a
Wow.
five tier, and this is vertical, so it's tall, and then it's maybe about maybe 2 feet wide, if that, maybe if, and so that can sit outside somebody's back door.
Mm.
So small spaces, you don't need, you can grow up, grow up. And I can, look at any kind of space and say, you know what, you can grow this, maybe a salsa garden, or um, you'd be surprised, people can grow beans. They don't know that they can just grow beans right there,
I
the
would have
sugar
never
snap
thought.
peas. Yeah. And they have, and you ever heard of it? We sell bush beans, and we know the brand bush beans, but bush beans are beans that they grow like in clusters more so, they're viney, but they don't grow up. The vines are not that long.
Mm.
So like sweet peas and this little snap peas that are really sweet, and you could put those on salads and stuff like that. And you could grow that in a flower pot with maybe, and make it look decorative with like maybe a little trellis, in the back of it. And then you can just snap your peas off and put on your salad.
Wow. It's almost unreal, but it sounds rewarding to like be able to just go pick what you've grown. You know what
Right.
was used to treat it, you know all of those things.
Everything. But I think what people think about is they always think about growing, that they have to be able to grow as much as they see in the store, because that's the only identification that we have
Mhm.
had with our fresh vegetables, is seeing them in bulk and seeing them big. And then so it's, your mind is automatically thinking, oh, how am I gonna grow this? I can't grow enough to
Yeah.
eat. But when you really think about, like, a tray of lettuce, or let's just say I do these like a maybe a 10-inch flower pot, and you just kind of, and that's the easiest thing anybody can do. Right, they can do that in the morning, and no matter where you live right now, you can grow a pot of lettuce.
So wait,
Right,
let
it
me.
doesn't matter where you live. All you need is a flower pot and some pot and salt and some seeds. You don't have to be trying to, like, oh, put one seed here. Just cast them in the, just sprinkle them and let them sit, and
Wow.
water them. You have to take, and that's the other part.
Yeah.
That pushes the person. You have to be dedicated and nurturing, because you have to say, oh, I need to water them. Where do you have them sitting? Um, are the seeds safe? Like, is this a safe place? Because have you seen, you know, yeah, there's a squirrel that comes around here, birds, come around here. Oh, put it in the front, yeah, on the front porch instead of the back, that type of thing, So that's the type of thing that puts you responsible for that just that 10-inch pot, right? And that 10-inch pot, you can just pick leaves off once you get it to a good mature state. You pick leaves off. I'm telling you, once you pick 50 leaves and you leave it, they call it plant and repeat, or pick and repeat. So you just pick off leaf by leaf, and then it'll grow back. It's going to keep growing, and that pot of lettuce will
Wow.
last you for, like, it'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. And you pick it off. So you get about 50 leaves, you go in there and wash them up. You have a nice size base for a salad.
Wow.
So just starting off with that, to know that those bags of lettuce that you go by and you wash them and wash them and wash them, just where the one,
Yeah.
yeah, you're going to wash it, of course, because but the fact that you don't know what it's been through,
Mm. Mhm.
right? So,
And I love how gardening connects us with nature,
mhm,
and the success, how successful we are, I think really is based on how connected we are with nature. Like, there are certain things that you observe in nature to determine what you need to do with your garden.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah, yeah. It's so much, like, even now, like, I remember asking my husband, Jason, I was like, have I don't think I've seen any, because maybe I was on looking at something on TV, or I think even on FaceTime with somebody that was in the Carolinas, and I saw that, the white flowers on all the trees is, it's springtime and all that stuff is going on, right?
Mhm.
So I didn't see it here yet, right? And I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, the new beginning. I'm so looking forward, because it's like the best times. And it's like I don't even remember when it happened. Like, all of a sudden, I say something, and then it's like I was like, and it's all over. Like the white flowers, they're everywhere. I have the one out right in front of where I sit all day, and it's like I've seen it change from white to like this, like a pale pink. Now it's like a little brighter,
Mm.
and it it gives you a jump start, right? Like you said, you connected to it, like it's ready to go, and and it's changing.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, that you're changing, um, and looking forward to things. Summer travel, all of that stuff comes into play.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm. Yep.
So for someone who doesn't know anything about gardening, right? And they have a very small space to garden, like, what would be the first thing that they need to make their mind up to do?
um, that they're going to be attentive. Um, you know, once there, I had a routine. Like, every morning, I wake up. I knew I had to get up early because I couldn't leave the house no matter what time it was until I watered my plants, right?
Mhm.
And, I'm on Marco Polo with my family, with my friends and stuff like that. They knew my routine. Get up, I'm going to come outside and I'm going to, be like, y'all, look, ooh, this a little bloom, whatever. They probably was like, oh, okay, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. And then, so I showed them all the stuff out there. And then, you get into a routine of it. So that's where gardening gives back to you, right? Because, I think that we all can benefit, of setting a routine for ourselves that includes all the things that we need to, keep ourselves going in life, right? Keeping our cup running over. So when you get up and you have something to be responsible for, I think that adds. There's a quote, I actually have it on my Instagram page, and it says, gardening, how does it go? Gardening adds years to your life and life to your years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gardening adds years to your life and life to your years. So because it gives you, that sense of responsibility. We all think about being, when we're mothers, and we have a responsibility, and that's always going to be a part of who we are as mothers. But when you don't have that responsibility anymore, because you are a mother, because you are nurturing, because that piece of you is so much of that's who you are at that point. Once you become a mother, you are a mother. And so, just being that nurturing part of it, I think that's also, and you asked me about when did gardening come in, and Marquise, my son went to school the same year. Because I was moving in here when he came home, like for his winter break, he came home to a new home. So when he was going to college, I was literally moving out of the apartment. We were moving out of the apartment together, and we were moving, and I was moving to the new home. And that's next spring, when the next spring after moving here, so spring 2012 was my first year gardening on my deck. Yeah. And so that marked the time when, not, like I said, we'll always be mothers, and at that time I was surely still, he was very much my responsibility. He just freshman in college. So, but that day to day, right?
The day to day.
That day to day, I didn't have that. I didn't have that piece, and it was it's all being a young parent and young mother. That's all I knew. So gardening definitely gave me, that reason, not even a reason. You would say a reason to get up and have something, I have this to do, and because you want to make sure the best success for your plants. Well, I call them my crops, because you can't tell me I ain't feeding the nation out here. You don't tell me.
So I do have a question though, and I can see how it's so successful. But what was, if you had it, and it may not have happened, but what was your first failed attempt like, if there was one?
Let me tell you what I attempt on all the time, and I know why it doesn't work. Is cucumbers. I'll get some successful cucumbers, but it just might be like my sister-in-law. She's on here, and she gave me some cucumbers, and they were they were for small space. But see, I'm telling you, you can't tell me what I can't grow.
It's abundance back there, right?
It's stuff going on. Like, it's just anything I try, basically. So let me tell you, anything I try, I grow. Let me tell you. That's first off.
Okay, there you go. Like, Hey, Nina, she says, "Speak it into existence.
Yeah, anything I grow up, everything I
Speak it
plant, it
into
grow.
existence."
I mean, but I have tried cucumbers several times. I know 2020 they came out oddly shaped. I have like they were. Yeah, that was a bad year for cucumbers.
I'm curious.
Mm-mm.
Oddly shaped, because
It was very oddly shaped. It's like, what is happening? But then I read up on it, and it's because they didn't have enough, room to grow. And because I have,
got it.
and so I've come up with a solution for that this year. So I'm going to do cucumbers, but I'm going to change the growing vessel. I'm going to get something bigger built and I grow the cucumbers on the back side of it. I don't want to get crazy with it because cucumbers can get really big,
Yes.
and I don't want the folks to be calling the association on me. So I mean, that nobody has that, but it's several of us that grow in this in our area. So you know, it's beautiful when it's all growing and it's all flourishing and the abundance is just everywhere. That's the other thing is once you do your watering in the morning and I just sit there and I just, you see what I did right here. You see this, like
That's me
if
right there.
if it was not for me,
Yeah.
because and this would not be. And so it's me. It's it's a reflection of me.
That's
And
Now,
so
beautiful.
you can see how that could be fulfilling for anybody.
Yes.
do you
Mm-hmm.
think that people, walk by every now and then and just help themselves a bit?
Well, see, I'm up high.
So
But
ain't no way that's happening.
I didn't know, but I listen to it's really listening to because I'm doing other things, but I have YouTube up. Several people that garden know that have YouTube pages, and they threaten. They said that folks they just think it's growing there that they can just help themselves to it
I'm
because it's like
waiting.
that's another thing. Like we said, the grocery stores. It's because um that's all they've ever seen
Yeah.
vegetables grow. So they in their minds, they're like, oh, nobody's growing this. This is
Yeah.
just here. No, that's not how none of that works. This is so I've heard people had to like make people leave from their property and stuff like that.
Wow.
And see, that would hurt because sometimes, and Jennifer, like you only have one of a certain thing, like a
Yeah.
watermelon or a melon. And if somebody comes,
Did you ever
know,
oh my gosh, I don't even want to think
I'd
about
be
it.
sick.
but have you had that problem, Jennifer? Because I know your garden is
No, and
so
I don't. And it's crazy because not last growing season, but the season before that. So that was 2020. I had an abundance of cucumbers, huge ones,
I remember that.
huge
Buckets,
ones. I was begging people
buckets
to
of
take
them.
them. But it was so strange because they were just kind of like
Oh, no.
skeptical. It was really weird. And then one I was able to give to a neighbor, and she was like, "It just tastes so different from a grocery store
It
cucumber."
does. It's unexplainable. Like the tomatoes. Like
The tomatoes.
I find it hard to eat tomatoes if I didn't grow them, or you didn't grow
Wow.
them. It's your
Yes,
tomatoes
because once
last
you've
year.
had the homegrown, it's like
I think like that those tomatoes you had last year, like they were so yellow and
they
like
were beautiful.
that
Those
was
were
the
pineapple tomatoes.
pineapple
I
tomatoes.
got
And
those
see,
seedlings from you.
and see that's what I do too. That's another part of like so last year I had time to do it, so I did it. I had this whole setup. Like I had enough seedlings to probably do a good acre.
Wow.
Like for real. And I just I gave them away, but this year the best part of that is I am going to do a garden for a women's shelter. um
Nice.
yeah, along with a friend of ours, from work. And it's her birthday, and she's going to do, kind of giveaways at a women and children. I think it may just be ladies for women, but and
Wow.
then I'm going to do a garden. And then, you know just all I the affirmation, like I've said before, is like it gives, like I just think that that's the best place for a garden, no
Yeah.
matter the size.
Yeah.
And to give them an association with something that they have to nurture, and they have something to do. They don't have time for idle stuff. I have something to do. So then
Mhm.
I saw that's another, high point for um just, even if you a restart, just like you said earlier, Jennifer, like a women's shelter, and they're something to renew, and then they see something growing, and it's
Mhm.
like you can grow too, right? And so, so that's coming up in at the end of April. So I'm looking forward to
So,
Wonderful.
one thing that
that.
I can't help but notice is the association between gardening and life lessons, right? So you have the new beginnings. You have like not really starting over, but you have to know when to put it down. You have to pay attention to these things, the discipline, and the abundance. So with your with your own life, have you noticed those things as far as what you have to do with gardening and in your personal life?
Yeah, I think that just in how you, like in the winter time, winter, you kind of always indoors and everything. And I went through something like maybe the end of December, maybe all through the new year. And I was like, I'm about to, like, I don't know what cabin fever, I don't know what that was about. So about my birthday, it came to me, it was like, you working, you living, and you are, relaxing, everything on this in the same spot
Mm.
Yeah.
all day, in and out. I get up in the morning, come down, set up to work, have my coffee, and I sit there all day. And you sit there, and it's 7 o'clock.
Mm.
And what do, you get something to eat, and you go sit in that same spot or somewhere close by, but in
Yeah.
the same. And I was
Yeah.
like, why do I feel stagnant? Like, and then that's another thing with growing. Maybe I felt stagnant. Like I was just feeling like I was about to, like right here. And that's all I was like, oh, okay. And then I had an office downstairs, but it was just so small. It's just, and no windows. And then that's just not me with no windows. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so what did I do? I went, had somebody build shelves, made that spot a pantry to slash closet. And then I moved my desk by the window. And I thought it happened just, and you talk about life lessons, or just as the spring was happening. I think I might have been down there a week, 2 weeks, and moved my desk in front of the window before that tree started to turn.
Wow.
And it was like, I was like, I gotta change something about something. So, and that was the big change. And so now I'm into, how I want to get that, space set up, and still um it be, a functional part of the house. And so that's a new beginning, rearranging, and then, and at the same time starting seeds, right? So it then pushes you, as you see, oh well, you haven't done anything as it pertains to what you got going on over here in
Hmm.
life, right? But you see your garden is moving, and it's
Yeah.
keep going, so all is a forward thing, pushing you forward. So I think
Mm.
it's all, that's how it's all related to life. And you see something growing, you want to grow, you want to continue to um
Yeah, that was
expand.
That was
right.
pretty good. You see something
Yes.
growing and you want to grow.
You want to grow too. You want to, like I haven't changed at all since this, and I'm here. I planted the seed. I did all of this stuff. I'm in here eating tomato sandwiches. What's up? Like I'm not
Yeah.
Mm.
doing nothing. My favorite saying, Jennifer. You already know what you doing. Barbecuing a meal doing. What we
Yeah.
doing over here?
Hey.
So
We
even the story with the
barbecuing.
cucumbers, because in our own environments, like if there's not enough space, we're going to have that deformity. We're not going to. I wish I could have
Right.
seen one, though. It's like you only know a cucumber being one.
No, it was looking
Mm.
like a sickle, like a they be fat on one end and then like small, and then one was like yellow, like it started off yellow. It was just bad. It was bad.
Oh man.
It was bad. But I mean, I also last year had one of the better things, something I'm gonna do a lot of, and um one, you know, some of the plants I'm gonna give away this year is a pepper, and it's not it looks like a hot pepper, but it's actually a sweet pepper, and it's called a Jimmy Nardello pepper. And I just got these seeds by chance, right? And I grew it, and I didn't know. I kept watching all these videos. It was like this pepper, I don't know, it's like it just goes nuts. It's gonna give you so many peppers. You're gonna have so many, and it did it. I
Yeah.
mean, and they're so gorgeous growing. They go from a green to like almost like a chocolate brown. You think, and in all the videos, like you think something's going on, and it's not. And then they turn the brightest red you've
Mm.
ever seen in a pepper.
They do. And they're
Um,
delicious.
and they're so good. They're
Yes.
so good. So I have saved a lot of those seeds, and so I'm gonna, do a lot of those plants this year. So that's the one thing that did. The cucumbers didn't do well, but Jimmy Nardello showed out.
Shout out
So
to
there's
Jenni.
always an upside. Yep. Shout out to Jimmy. And let me tell you about Jimmy Nardello. The pepper comes from his parents were coming, and he was a baby, and it was his parents' favorite pepper in Italy, and they couldn't bring stuff like fruits and stuff when they were coming into the country. So but women would hide seeds to bring, so they can bring the vegetables that they're accustomed to growing and everything, to bring them to America, right? So they named it because it didn't exist in. Now this is the story that the folks told me on the YouTube now. So if anybody knows anything different, let me know. But they said that they named it in the United States, or what, Jimmy Nardello, after the baby that they brought into the United States.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. An Italian family. Yeah.
Mm.
So I felt good about it. I said, Jimmy, I'm a girl. I like that. So it's just that there's always an upswing. Like like I said, the basil from to the pepper. Even though you have those little things that happen, like if you try to grow a melon and you don't succeed the first time, you research and find out how to do it, the next time, and that's very rewarding once
Yeah.
you do that.
One of the things that stand out in all of this is the whole routine and establishing a routine, and that's in life, period. And I think that's
Yeah.
something that's come through for me, in that it's absolute insanity to continue doing things
Mm.
just fluttering about. Like, as I would say, just, oh, not having a plan for your day.
Chaotic, right, that's what insanity is, right?
It
Just
really is. And then be mad when the dots aren't getting connected and things aren't manifesting in the way that I thought up, but no real routine or plan or discipline or vision whatsoever. And I think when you look at gardening, that in order to have a successful harvest, those are the things that you need to do. You have to have a routine. You
And
have to
plan.
have
Mhm.
and research. Like
Right. Research.
I was just thinking to ask you, like, how many times did you fail at something being on your deck and have to like dig deeper?
And then just to find out how I could do it. I would say the trailing, back to cucumbers, anything, because when you're talking about a small space, now this year I would say successful because we did eat a melon. My mom's favorite melon was a honeydew. And so I end up, beginning of the season, I bought one from the store and I was like, I'm gonna try this out. And this was during the time I was doing my seeds. Sure enough, the thing germinated. I started off, I had three. I ended up, I think I did like 6 plants. I ended up with about 3 at the end.
Mm.
And I grew and we had one. We actually had 2 that came up, but one didn't make it. I don't know. One day we thought it was there, and the next day wasn't. So it was so small, a bird could have picked it off. That type of thing. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, the honeydew is delicious, and I remember like, yeah, I'm gonna try to grow this. I planted those things, and that little vine it grew, and I mean, we had one. I took pictures of it. I'll post that too. Like a honeydew, and it was just like I just can't. I had tried melons before. I think sugar babies or whatever, and they said you
Mhm.
could grow them up, and that it didn't work for me. I think I tried it like 2 or 3 years ago, and broccoli. That's another thing. Broccoli. I have not been successful. I was successful with broccoli to a point, but broccoli is very prone to insects. You have to,
Mhm.
but I learned something from all that whole process is that you shouldn't grow those near to tomatoes because of
Oh.
like that smell and it draws certain bugs. And so then you will have them come and then they see it's a green leafy stuff. They love it, right? So
Yeah.
one day I went out there and there was nothing but that broccoli head and the spines, like if you have collard greens, the spine
Yeah.
that you pull out. Well,
Yeah.
that was still stuck to the broccoli head and all the green stuff was gone. It was just that. And I was like, what? I had never seen anything like that in my life. Like, y'all, it was just if you could just imagine all of those things, but all of them, not just even the little small ones that you see, the little veins, all of that. So it looked like a big fuzz ball of just veins.
Oh
And that
my
broccoli was
god.
in the middle. They didn't mess with that, but I didn't want that after after all that. So I never tried broccoli again. But I have some broccoli, just and I think I might be too late. I don't know. I'm gonna try it though. I might be too late for broccoli.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what I'm hearing, that
Yeah, but I
it's
have
too
this
late.
hybrid. I don't know what I was calling a hybrid, but some little skinny broccoli. What is it?
Broccolini.
Broccolini or what? It's
Mhm.
some name they call it. And so I'll see what they say on the packet and I'll try it, but I mean, I'll give it a try.
So when they say hybrid, like, you can
Well,
have an organic hybrid
yeah.
seed,
Hmm.
right? It's
Well,
just
the
like
thing is,
crossbreed.
yeah, like and I've had it happen. It's really not cross. It's like they'll get cross pollinated, and that's how new melons get created. Like this one lady, she was saying she had things growing next to each other, and I had it happen um out on my deck because I'm growing things so close together. So sometimes a tomato might have dropped down or whatever on one side. If those seeds drop in that soil, like spring, just in, as the weather start warming up and you get to about 80, about 5 days in a row, you see little tomato plants popping up
Mhm.
all over the place. That's how I got half of the tomatoes I gave away last year, because I just let them get to a certain amount out there, and then I would pick them out and plant them in another thing. And then he had tomato. So remember, because you kept saying no, but the tomato, because I think that maybe the pineapple got mixed with maybe one of the ones that I
The
already had
black
out there,
cherry.
the black cherry or
That
the black
happened to
prim.
me. Mhm.
Yeah, you had it happen too. And I remember this one day she said she had acorn squash next to another type of squash. And it's when the bees, when they cross pollinate. And so those seeds from those plants now are not the same. That's why when you see farmers, they grow one big field of one thing. They're not gonna,
Mhm.
people that sell in the grocery store and they trying to sell cucumbers that look a certain way, they're not gonna grow that next to no other cucumber.
Mm.
They just
Mhm.
gonna grow it together because they want to keep it pure.
Yeah,
So
I believe, yeah, Nina was saying tomatoes are invasive. I think that they're pretty
mhm,
it's easy to I think with the cross-pollination, like, you wanna keep if you want and I think you were telling me this, last season when I was telling you about the cross-pollination, that you wanna separate them, like, start a whole new
new.
area for those
Yeah,
tomatoes.
but you just like never know what it's gonna be, or the proper way probably would be not to use those seedlings out there
Yeah,
and refresh that, refresh that soil and just move on. You're doing new seeds, and this is what you're gonna grow. Um, but for me, because I'm gonna try it out and see what it is, because I grew it, whatever it
right,
is.
and Imma
So,
eat it. Imma eat it too.
Right.
right, and I'm gonna eat
Whatever
that
it
thing.
is.
Whatever it is, it's a pretty color. I really like this color.
We can
Have
name it
us
later.
have cherry tomato, have little the current tomatoes, and they done got bigger because they done cross pollinated with a cherry tomato. Yeah, it's um, it's just fun, and that's the fun part, right? Just things
Yeah,
that create you over. We have a okra that we got from Colorado. We were out in Denver, and we went to the botanical gardens, and that was the first time I was introduced to the seeds that I love, botanical interest seeds. And I just loved it. We bought and we got the red, because I love the color red okra. I ain't never ate a red okra. I don't really like regular okra that much
yeah.
because I don't know how to cook it. We were all talking about like how to cook okra. And then the article came up on my phone the other day too. Oh, I sent it to you guys. And it's like, it's listening to us, right? So all these,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so I'm gonna do both red and green. And so through the years, so I've never bought another red okra seed, pack of seeds, because every year I just, I have a little jar and I still use the seeds from the very first year. So, from a fruit that grew out on
Isn't
our
that
land.
Wow.
amazing?
Hmm. Isn't that amazing? Like, and if you think about the power of that too,
Yes.
like even in my little case of, I go crazy with seeds, right? So I have this case, but when you think about the power that you holding with all these seeds, and it's, they say some, of course, expiration dates, whatever, but seeds are there. But I just feel like that's a treasure that, to me, seeds are, because we don't know where we would be, like what we'll
Mhm.
always have to do. It's also a skill. So there you go there
Hmm.
too, like learning how to garden. So, and doing
And I
that,
have old seeds. I mean,
I do too. And I've had
old
old seeds
seeds.
and they germinate, and then they, if you get good
They do
quality
just fine.
seeds, right?
So wait, so I'm sitting here listening, and the only thing I can think about is if these seeds can keep reproducing, how much these farmers are really making off of one seed, pushing all this stuff into the grocery store, and just what'd you say earlier? Like pick and repeat?
Yeah, that's what they do. And then
Shoot.
well, oh, I hope she sees my thing. So I've adopted. I've been the social media and farming, and you get you get people that you've seen grown from. Like I said, since 2012, I'm on, and it really watching gardeners and just YouTube in general came during the early part of the pandemic. I just really got into YouTube, but that's with the gardening, I
Mhm.
learned. Ooh, I got so many. That's when I started using the fishing motions, and because I didn't know I was out there doing what I do. I'd have success, but what I've learned,
Mhm.
through that, and that's what I'd hope to offer, for a whole, because there's subset of people that had no idea. That's where you could connect on YouTube to learn how to garden, and then or find a gardening coach, right?
Mhm.
Is via YouTube or social media, and they live all over. We could work together to get you what you need. If you want to garden, just for the fulfillment of it. If it's to even supplement, you can very much. We ate from our garden. Once you start, especially lettuce. Like I said, lettuce is very rewarding. It pushes you to do more because in 2 to 3 weeks you can eat what you planted, right? So
Wow.
it might not even microgreens, all that stuff. And so it you do that, you do that a couple of times. You can supplement. We would just add the protein. And then sometimes we wouldn't, if we had peppers and zucchini and so all this stuff that we had out there, we can just make a big salad, right?
Mhm.
Because you just put it all in there together. When you think about a salad, you get these, chef's blend lettuce and stuff like that. You pick and
Mhm.
repeat. You can very much supplement your grocery bill. And,
Yeah.
in the summertime, there's so many things you can do with lettuce and salad and those types of things anyway. So depending on, finding a shaded area and stuff like that, you could grow that all summer and grow lettuce and supplement buying, even if it's the $2.99, you paid $1.99 for that seed, that pack of seeds, and it's
Yeah.
gonna keep giving and giving and giving and giving.
Man.
Yeah. Shana, do you grow it all?
Nope.
You
When
I
you were
never thought
coming
I
up.
could. Oh, when I was coming up, yeah.
Mhm.
Or
you
I
did.
attempted to. I attempted to. But I always go and spend time in my aunt and my grandparents' garden. Like I think they have one of the best gardens ever. And of course I'm only comparing it to their gardens. But I never thought I could, especially with apartment living.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, and you were asking the first thing they could do. Lettuce would be even if you had indoors, because lettuce you can grow indoors, and then I'd say invest in one of those. And I wish I would have. I have one. I have two actually, but it's what is it? Hydro plant. I forgot the name of, but it's like you grow it in water. The hydro machines where they give you this little seed pod and you put the
Mhm.
seed in there, and then it and then you can grow. They have lettuce. I have a lettuce pack down there. You can grow lettuce, and you just pick off of those lettuce the same way, and it'll continue to grow. And it's always in your home. So even if you are in a high rise without a balcony, you can garden, because those containers, they need to be maintained. You have to refill them with water. You have to harvest from them in order for them to continue to grow and grow successfully, in that, container.
Mhm.
So somebody that even, there's things that we could talk about, like what size you would need, what you should grow in there, like herbs, or just grow basil. If every week you like a fresh pesto, you can grow enough basil right on your counter to make a batch of basil and have, pesto chicken, pesto pasta, and that's all, that's your that's just what you
Mhm.
like.
Yeah, see that
So
basil I was really interested in because recently I tried a basil infused olive oil that's just a game changer.
yeah,
Like I would have
yeah,
to learn how to do it, obviously, but
right, right.
game changer.
And it grows fast, and the way you prune it makes it you grow more. And
Mhm.
if you if you use it, it'll give back. And that's another thing in growing, with that too, is if you use it. If that's the thing with lettuce, and even with tomatoes, and all of, if you have to harvest, you have to you have to get those so that it can continue to give. There's ways that you have to maintain a plant in ways that let their energy disperse throughout. So there's so many things that give you back to that responsibility and maintaining to get the best reward that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you
Mhm.
for that best reward.
There's abundance in giving, right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
the ability to be
Yeah.
able to give allows you to receive more in return.
Hmm.
You have
What
to
would you
Yeah.
use it, and you'll never lose it.
You never
right?
lose it.
What would you say your greatest joy is with gardening?
I think my greatest joy about it is being able to prepare a meal from something that I grew.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like it's just something about it. And Jason probably prefers when I'm growing too, because I cook more whenever I'm growing, because I'm like, oh, I'm getting ready to cook this up and I'm gonna
Yeah.
plate it, and I'm getting ready to plate it and everything, right? So that's it comes all the way full circle, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you like that fulfillment. And it's like, oh my good, I'm plating up. And then I like to say everything on this plate except that, except
Yeah.
that's be the, we
Yeah.
have meat, if we have a protein, I grew,
Oh man.
right, like everything on here. So it's like such an accomplishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's good times.
Well, what's in the
And that's
future for you? What's in the future for you, YOLO? What you got going on?
well, like I said, I was gonna, I'm gonna give, give back. And so I love to grow. So I I'm going to start all these seeds, and I'm gonna get, start the garden at the women's shelter. And then I'm here, I'm here to help anybody that's wanting to start a garden. We specialize in small spaces, but even if you have a lot more room to grow, we can talk about what type of vessel you should grow in, whether most people prefer a raised bed type situation. So any type of kitchen garden, those type of things, I could help with help you with that. We can have a consultation, talk about it. We can have look at your space and then come up with that. So I want to this year focus on just helping other people realize the opportunity to grow, right? And
Mhm.
then as I look further and further into the future, I want to, and at that same time, also is grow my YouTube page, um, and then hopefully to start, some type of product line is where I could provide, that the things that you need to grow in a small
Mm.
space. So some
Man, it
type of
is so.
product that then, you can grow, it's literally grow with YOLO. So I'll supply you with everything you would need to set up, a
Mhm.
small kitchen garden, or a salsa garden, or a pesto garden, those type of things. Or if you just want to
Oh,
grow some
amazing.
tomatoes, right? So a setup to just grow tomatoes or just grow cucumbers. So
Wow.
that's what as I look for, real forward to the future.
Yeah,
I
But
that's
it's
gonna
something to
um,
look for.
happen.
But it's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And you are doing the work now. So it's done. It's happening.
it's happening. It's
And y'all,
happening.
YOLO's contact info is in the description. You can please like, subscribe, follow, comment on her channel, our channel. Instagram handle is also there. Your Grow with YOLO.
Mhm. I'm Grow with
Um,
YOLO everywhere. TikTok. Yeah, I'm there too. I don't do many, but I'm TikTok, Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, but Instagram, Facebook. It's all Grow with YOLO and YouTube. Yep.
hey, YouTube.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for just blessing us with
Well,
your
thank you
presence
guys
and
for
knowledge.
having me.
Yes.
I might go to the botanical garden this weekend just to see what they got going on.
Oh, it's beautiful. Look, you're in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, it's beautiful there.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's the weather there now? Is it cold, Shana?
I don't
It'll change
remember.
tomorrow. When she wake up, it'll be totally different.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
I was getting ready to tell her it snowed, but I was like, no, that wasn't today. I don't remember.
Yeah, ours changed like that. Yesterday was 14 degrees higher than it was the day before, and it was 20 some degrees.
Mm,
So I was like, what is going on?
you're
Going in
right.
the wrong direction here. But this was good, ladies. Thank you. Thank
No,
you so
Yes,
thank
much for
yes.
you.
having me.
I want to pull a card.
Okay, cool.
This deck
The
is
fun part.
the Goddess Oracle deck. And I want to ask about, so one of the things that's just come up is just the routine and who can we tap into to just get us more consistent, more in line with more aligned with the things that we want to manifest for our lives.
Right.
Y'all in agreement with that?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see who we
Girl,
can.
it's the shuffling of those cards for me.
Her and the shuffling. She owned it. I was like, no, what is it? I didn't know. I said, well, what is it about the shuffling? I know you can't stand the shuffling of the feet. Then
Oh man.
she probably would be like, it's just like that sometimes. Certain sounds and words. Some people have words that are triggering, like it's like the sounds of words.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting
Mhm.
because I'm I pat my fingers a lot. Like I'm always tapping my fingers, but that shuffling, good gosh. And
Sorry, well,
and
let's go.
dragging feet. Mm-mm.
I knew somebody that couldn't stand to click it. If
Yeah.
how some people do that, they couldn't stand. Like it was the worst thing ever.
Oh.
Did not like it.
Okay, y'all.
And
So this particular card is, let me see, can I hold it up? Y'all see what that
Mm-hmm.
says? Coat, coatlicue, grief.
that's what it means.
I'm sure there's a deeper meaning. Okay. So coatlicue is here to help bring you face to face with your grief. She is here to tell you that there is no way around grief. There is no place you can hide from grief. The way to wholeness lies in going through your grief. Have you been afraid to face the pain that accepting grief and going through the grief process will bring? Have you been hiding from grief, pretending you are really okay? Perhaps you fear the grief is so great that you will remain in it for the rest of your life. Have you done some of your grieving, but not all of it, so that it catches you unaware in odd moments? Perhaps you're staying in a situation you need to leave, but fear the grief that leaving would engender. It is imperative for your healing process that you grieve. It is time to wail and keen and moan. It is time to ask for support from friends and family. Life is about loss, and loss is part of life. The seasons change, and all is in a state of transition. Even grief, if fully faced, will finally lessen. In time, you will feel stronger and more alive. One day, your wounds will fade to scars. Remember that your process takes as long as it needs to take, and that everyone's time of grief is different. Code LaQ tells you to feel the grief so the healing can come. Now,
That was a lot.
so I don't know. Did y'all find anywhere? Can I just break down my for me
Okay.
what this is, and I'm gonna just share this. So personally, I have been feeling like coming into this new season, I have been. I didn't necessarily think about it like it was grief, but I have been loathing or grieving the transitions and the transformations that I know are necessary for my new season. And I have been looking for distractions or things that keep me from facing that
That new,
realization.
right.
I have been looking for distractions that have kept me away from the things that I desire and know that I need to be routine about: meditation, journaling, affirmations, the things that I desire to build for myself as an entrepreneur, as somebody who wants to break free of corporate America, all of these things
Mhm.
that I have conditioned myself for my entire life. And there's a grieving process that
Yeah.
goes through there, right? It's just like, oh my gosh. One, in a way, I'm starting all over, right?
Over.
And this is this airy, this new chapter thing. And it's like, wow, to think about the trial and errors and the ebbs and flows and
Yeah.
experiencing that all over again. Hey, this is where I have been. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be about sadness,
Yeah.
but
It doesn't have to be though.
it just can be about grieving.
That it takes
Um,
time. That
yeah.
I guess I can kind of relate, and it's funny that it comes up because there's been a lot of when you share things on social media, and it seems like there's a lot of things that came up that would be have me reference my mom. And
Mhm.
so there was this, and it was this week, and so
Mhm.
it's very collating that it's like if you're a woman and you lost your mother, and I shared that, and so many
You
other people
did.
commented that it's been this many years and it still feels like yesterday, and
Yep.
it went on to say, for all those, it just went on to say, all those calls that you ignored because you thought you were busy, but now you know that none of that is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
not even real.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think about, and Jennifer, let me tell you, I got deep with this thing, right? Because as you was okay, had I not, you and I took an abundance class together. Shana was in it too, right?
Mhm.
So had I not been in this setting and gotten to a place where having that one-on-one relationship to the creator, to my God, to God, it's like knowing that ain't none of it's what you want it to be. None of this is real.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
manifest it like this. Like that's not even real. To fear, any type of feelings that you may have, if it didn't happen, it's not, it's not, none of this is real. And so that, for that to kind of, to have that kind of basis of knowing that, and then seeing, and then hearing that, and then now you saying it's all a part of,
Mhm.
realizing and recognizing this is all a part of the grief process, right? And
Yeah.
so, I'm early in that grieving process because my mom may, and it's like I told one of her very close friends on, when I posted that, she replied and like, yeah, I miss her so much. And I was like, yeah, it's like closer and closer as I get to May, I
Mm.
start, I have that, that feeling. And then now all these things keep coming up, and then Mother's Day, and,
Yeah.
so, but having those realizations. And then another thing that also happened, that is, if you grieving, like you said, doesn't have to be sad. Grief is a process. You grieving, I think mourning and then grieving is
Yeah.
something different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So even the sound of the words, right? So I think another decision I made just last night was that I wanted to get a new car, and then and then on one of my chats today, these they start talking about getting a new car, and that thing was like, I was like, God. So the thing, so that was confirmation that my thought. So last night it came down to it. I was getting a new car next year. And so that would have been, and I said, maybe for my birthday. And then by the end of my whole conversation about getting a new car, I decided I was going to get it on my mom's birthday.
Mm.
And I said, like I said, I was want to be my first luxury car, and I want to get it on her birthday. And then it was confirmation, like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. So then that was full circle confirmation for me today. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, God. That it just came right. I was like, okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. So on her birthday, so that's a part of grieving, right? Is
Mhm.
I'm gonna create this, thing. Like last year, I had been wanting the faux locks. I've been wanting them since forever, and the young lady that does my hair, she didn't do them. She didn't know how, and so I did get them done. The first time I got them done, I had to go someplace else, but I got them done on my mom's birthday. So it was something
Mm.
I, had never done before. Finally getting something so each year I'm going to
There you go.
step it up. So if I'm getting my first luxury car for her birthday this year, I don't know. I got to do some
Mhm.
things for it to step that up, right? So
Right.
whatever. But whatever
Mhm.
it'd be done on December 21st. So,
Okay.
right.
I think too that people associate grief with death only.
Yeah.
And so when they have to deal with other emotions of just losing something, they, or I'm going to speak for myself, I try to suppress a lot of things when the reality is I should have processed it. So, I don't
Mm.
know. Grief is just, you got to deal with it. Just like any other emotion. You have to deal with your anger, your
Mhm.
happiness, everything else. You have to deal with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a part of everybody's life at some point, no matter what it,
Mm-hmm.
people grieve over leaving jobs.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean,
It's a deep
think
loss.
about it. It's something you've done for so many years, and it's a hard thing to do. Even if you want to relate it back to stuff that has been in the media recently, like things happen, people break. And
Mm-hmm.
so when people break, that may be a part of their grieving process for
Mm-hmm.
something that they have lost or been through or going through. Like it's all when you link it up together that like you said, Sean, you have to deal with whatever those feelings is, and what all those feelings are, and you have to just go through it. But if you I think if you stay connected and grounded, which I think that's another thing, I'm gonna put it right back into
There you
gardening.
go.
It connects you with the
The
earth,
nature,
the
yes. It
nature
puts you
that
right
God
back
has
in
created
it.
all of this, and us gave us the ability to be able to to grow. Like, so
Yes.
it's, that thing,
We
it will
have
come all the way
everything we
around.
need.
We have
It's
everything we
okay.
need.
And it's like, allow yourself to feel like grief. I was just looking up the etymology of grief: hardship, suffering, pain, bodily affliction, grievance, burdens. Allow yourself to be able to feel that. Like, if there is something you gonna have a hard time letting go, just sit in that and then get back in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump back in there and be like, okay, let me deal with this. I could
Right.
have easily, like, Shana, you were asking, like relating to something like the new start. You got to do something different. Like, in the seasons change, it's time to do something different, right?
Right.
You're no longer wearing the sweaters and stuff. You coming out, and so if I had gotten in that space that I was feeling that, because of who I am and my personality, that's why I didn't feel comfortable in that
Mm,
space. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, nah, this, something is off. And until you put your finger on it, you like, oh, like it'll come to you. So if you,
Yep.
just all of it, you stay full, you're like, you're connected, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it just, you come in that ebb and flow of life, creating, like, creating, um nature, being in nature. It just is, it feels like you're in the right place.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
And
Yeah.
and too, a lot of people, they don't really want to go through the pain, and I get that. Like, no one wants to be hurt, but the exchange of hanging on, it's not a fair one.
mm.
Right.
I'd much rather cry for 2 hours than let somebody do me wrong for 2 years. I'm not gonna do that.
Right. Right.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that. That's not a fair exchange.
It's true.
Right. And so, like,
It's
it's like
true.
you go through it, and it's a process. And that's, I
Hmm.
feel like that's, how I related back to that, Jennifer, to the car.
The process.
The
Trust the
process.
process.
Trust
Yeah.
the
And that's
process.
the gardening to trust the process.
Process. You gotta trust the process, you
Mm,
know, because as long as you got a root and some soil, and you know, you can grow.
mm,
Yeah.
You can grow a seed, and once that seeds, you start growing, they got roots. You can nurture those. You got life.
Mm.
hey, I
I'm
drop
gonna
the
try
mic.
something. I'm gonna
Just
try to
drop
Drop
the
grow
by.
me
mic.
something.
No.
So do I have to read the back of the package to tell me like the environment it needs?
Yeah, and
Okay.
you can do in some of them, and most of them, they'll tell you grow in a 14-inch container. Like, it'll say this is a container type, seeds. So
Okay.
good for containers. That's what it say. Good for containers, and it'll tell you. And then you can take that pack of seeds, go straight to the little. I need a 14-inch pot, because it'll tell you that's it. Put per plant. And when you talked about seeds too, Sean, like, you think that whole, you have enough there. Sometimes they say to plant all of this acreage and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really only talking about one plant. So that's one seed that God has to germinate.
Mm,
Wow.
One of those big old packs. Y'all all seen seed packs.
Yeah.
One.
Man, we're getting robbed left and right and don't even know it.
And you pay $1.99. So that's one. Just one. And like I said, with some things, even with some of the kale and things, you can pick, and it'll give back. You harvest, it'll give back. um and if you get some of the hardier kale, you can take that through the, moderately high temperatures, if you have a shaded area,
It's funny. I'm
so
I'm talking all this noise, and the only the only vegetable I could think of that I eat is a cucumber right now. So I'm gonna have to work. I'm gonna have to work on that. I'm
I
gonna have to
don't know,
work
yeah.
we
on.
might have to research. We might be able to grow you some cucumbers in the house now. Let me find out.
Okay. Hey, look,
I'll find out.
I will definitely journal whatever I get ready to start. I will definitely share my journey. I will document and go from
Yes,
there. I
and
don't
post
mind.
to get just
Yep,
tag grow with YOLO.
I most certainly am because that's who I'm gonna be asking for advice.
You'll get it. That's right. Yep, yep. Yeah, this is wonderful, ladies. I loved it, love it,
Yes,
love it.
it's been such a pleasure. Thank you
We'll have
for
to do it again
joining us.
sometime.
All
Oh
right,
yeah.
y'all. Grow with YOLO, YouTube, Facebook. Are you wait, Facebook? I said Facebook. I
Hmm.
meant Instagram, but Facebook, all of that. TikTok,
All that.
Twitter, all of
TikTok,
them.
all of it. Grow with YOLO. At Grow with
All
YOLO. Yep,
right,
yep,
y'all. We're
yep.
gonna get on up out of here.
All right. This
Until
has
next
been so
time, stay
nice. Till next
blessed,
time.
stay peaceful,
Peace.
stay prosperous. Bless
Many
up,
blessings. Love, love, love.
peace.